gonna swim, bike, and run. In the corner, sun, we're gonna swim, bike, and run. In the corner, sun, 2021.
Thank you, Poncho Man. Welcome, everybody. This is Breakfast with Bob, not quite Kona edition. My name is Bob Babbitt. We are brought to you by Hoka One One Master Spas, Clash USA, UCAN Hyper Ice, Premium Plus Sports, and Form Goggles. And of course, our Challenged Athletes Foundation in 2021, we sent out 3,038 grants totaling $5.9 million to athletes in 43 countries, 49 states for 94 different sports, which I had no idea there were 94 different sports. Our next guest, someone who does a lot of those sports, Devin Murphy, joins us. Devin, how you doing?
I'm good. Staying active. That's the main goal, right?
I love the fact that you're doing 100 5Ks in 100 days. Talk a little bit about what led to this. And I know you're doing this with the I Am Able Foundation. Talk a little bit about what led to you doing this and how much fun it's been.
After last year, there's no racing, no anything. So just making that comeback, it was so rough. It really was. And I thought, how can we get people up to move? So many people just kind of don't necessarily take advantage of the abilities they have. So I thought, what if we start challenging people to get out, to move, to do a 5K in any way you can, whether it's walking, running, paddling. I mean, I will even take 5,000 smiles a day if that's what you can give me.
So you did number 39 today?
I did, on the hand cycle.
And so how are you breaking it down? Because you're doing some on hand cycle, some in racing chair, some paddling. Is there a rhyme or reason? Or you just sort of mixing it up however you feel?
It's kind of mixed up. A lot of it, I'm listening to my body. If I find that I'm overexerting in terms of my upper body, I'll switch to doing a Peloton ride. It's not ideal. My right leg doesn't work quite well enough to get good power or a really good cardio workout, but it's enough to move. And that was the goal.
So Devin, take me back. Summer 1990, you're playing Little League Baseball. You were trying to catch a pop-up and you ended up breaking your hip. But what did the doctors originally think you had done?
Well, first of all, we need to point out I caught the ball.
You did catch it.
I never caught the ball. So, that was huge. And then I made it on base the next inning. But so I felt the pop, a burn. It hurt. I knew something was wrong. But we went to the walk-in urgent center and they said, "Oh my gosh, you have a pulled muscle. We want you to run and stretch and swim and do everything you can to just keep that muscle moving." So we ended up eventually having the x-ray, getting it diagnosed with a broken hip. And I was still feeling horrible.
Yeah.
So my parents really pushed in that we have to find out why she's not feeling well. Her hair's falling out. She's, 65 pounds. It's not good. So the ball game happened end of June. January 20th of 91, I was diagnosed with cancer. And the doctor kind of sort of misdiagnosed me in that he said, "You have cancer and it is terminal. You have 6 weeks to live."
Wait, so you went from a pulled muscle from a softball game or from a baseball game, and now they're saying 6 months later, you've got 6 weeks to live. That's crazy. What the hell?
Kind of my thought too. We got a second opinion and they said the same thing. It took you 2 weeks to get into this doctor's office. So now you've got about 4 weeks. Get comfy, do hospice, and that's it.
Wow. And so then did you find another doctor who said, "Okay, we need to do some intense chemo here and some surgery, but we think you'll live"?
Yes. My parents, again, they really pushed and advocated for me. We wound up at Mass General. And it was there that the doctor said, "Yes, it's cancer. It's not necessarily terminal. We can put you in a clinical trial. We can do a chemo, surgical, and then chemo protocol." So basically it was a month or so of chemo, followed by an allograft, which is basically a bone transplant, and then another 15 months of chemo.
So yeah, it's 12-hour surgery and followed up by 14 surgeries. Your right femur is removed and replaced with a cadaver bone, basically.
Yep, it's donor tissue.
Yeah, missing your hip joint. It's your right leg is 6 inches shorter than your left leg. As a kid who was a sporty kid, how long did it take you to find sport again?
25 years.
25 years?
25 years. I didn't know adaptive sports existed. So I went through all of junior high school, and college being a potato. I mean, I sat on the couch and I became super unhealthy.
And how much weight did you gain?
A lot. I can tell you that since I found adaptive sports, I've lost roughly 70 to 80 pounds. Totally redid my nutrition where I'm now plant-based, anti-inflammatory, just really trying to be healthy, not only for performance, but for myself.
And you found hand cycling 2015. Yep. And right away, did you know, okay, this is for me? It
was awesome, but oh my gosh, I was terrible. Because again, I was overweight, I was a couch potato, and I did not know what I was doing. So once I made it through that first marathon and said, wow, that was terrible. And then I did the second marathon. I ended up doing the Marine Corps marathon in 2015. And I said, oh my gosh, I was worse. So it was like, clearly it's not the hand cycle. It's not the course. It's me. I need to work on me.
So the first marathon, the first one you did was with the Jimmy Fund, where you're on crutches for 12 hours?
Yeah, that was fun.
12 hours for 26 miles. Now, was that the Boston Marathon?
It was the Boston Marathon course.
Yeah.
The Jimmy Fund puts on a walk, typically in September because that's Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. I raised $2,500 plus, I think. And it was nice and dark with a little bit of drizzle. We headed out, and closer to 13 hours later, we crossed the finish line.
Oh my God. And from then on, have you done a lot of races with the crutches? Because that's got to be brutal.
Now it's strictly Spartan races on crutches.
Right.
Obstacle course racing, I love it. It's challenging. So it really, really just is a confidence builder.
So you got your first hand cycle from the I Am Able Foundation, and that's who you're working with right now, right? In terms of fundraising.
Yep.
Love it. And at the same time, I Am Able Foundation got you to Boston, got you to your hand cycle. And then we came in somewhere along the line. CAF helped you, get the expenses to Boston, New York, things like that?
CAF did. My very first Boston Marathon was 2018. If you were there, you know.
Cold.
It's just that thing that you know. Yeah, cold, rainy, headwind the entire way. Absolutely brutal. In the med tent at the end for about an hour, maybe two. I'm not sure.
And what'd you get, second?
Yes. I was just so happy to be there. That was a dream come true at that point, because when I was in a hospital doing chemo, not knowing I would never run again, at that point I was just so excited I was living that, I looked at a nurse and I said, why are there people running all the time along the river? And she said, oh, well, they're probably training for the Boston Marathon. And being 11 and not terribly sporty and pre-internet, I said, what's that?
Yeah.
She told me it was the most elite marathon that you could do. And I said, well, you know what? I'm going to live and I'm going to do it.
At that point, nobody knew if you were going to live or not.
Exactly.
Oh, wow. So was that a major driver for you to get healthy, because you knew that one day you wanted to do Boston?
Yes. I kind of let go of that for a while because I didn't know it was possible. And then I found adaptive sports, and it was like, okay, I can do this. The first time I tried qualifying for it, I missed it by 21 seconds.
Oh, so how many marathons have you done now?
Oh, geez. If we throw in the COVID marathons,
yeah,
17, 13 live, and then the 4 virtual last year.
If someone had told you a number of years ago when you were 60, 70 pounds heavier that you were going to become a marathoner and you're going to do 17 marathons. No way. No way.
I would not have believed that whatsoever.
So any contact at all with these doctors who basically said you got 6 weeks to live? How many years ago? That was like 1991, 1992 when they told you you had.
Yeah. So it just, this is a huge year for me. It's 30 years. That's just like iconic. Not so much with those doctors, but once we got a chemo protocol established, my treatments were transferred to a hospital closer to home.
Yes.
And I found an amazing oncologist who actually ended up coming to my wedding years later. So that was pretty cool.
I mean, it's not like you went to one doctor, you went to a couple and they both said the same thing. You had 6 weeks to live. And fortunately your parents were of the like, listen, that's not the way this is going to end up. And they refused to listen and went and found other doctors. But still during that time, what was the lowest time for you? Because you went through 18 months of intense chemo, 14 plus surgeries. Was there a low point for you?
There were a couple. Specifically coming home from the hospital, I opened up my backpack and my day planner was in there, the school calendar.
Yeah.
And I literally counted out the 6 weeks and said, okay, I'm not going to see Easter. And then, you're a kid, you're curious. You start wondering, do they make coffins my size? Will kids from my class be able to come because they are little? Can they handle that? And that was pretty brutal. But once I found out that there was a fighting chance, it was just like, oh no, game on. That's it. That's not happening.
So when it comes to getting a cadaver bone, is that like getting an organ donated? I mean, you've got to find somebody who's the right size, somebody that's going to fit you. How hard was that?
There's actually bone banks.
A bone bank, okay.
All I know is that my femur came from a young male who was killed in a motorcycle accident in Florida. That's the only info they would give me at the time. Yeah. And going into surgery, we didn't know for sure that they would go with the allograft procedure. Going in, we signed the paperwork for amputation from the hip down, including removing the hip joint, which kind of rules out prosthetics.
Right.
Definitely at that point, it wasn't an option. Just being a triple joint amputee or the allograft. So when I first woke up in intensive care, they had to tie my hands down because I kept trying to feel if I had a leg.
Oh my God. So is your right leg still 6 inches shorter than your left leg?
Yep.
How does that affect you? Does it throw your back out? And
I use forearm crutches. So basically it messes up my shoulders, which kind of sounds silly, but in essence, that's what happens. My left leg is super overworked. Like the hip and joint need to be, the hip joint and the knee joint both need to be replaced. But you have to sit still for a while after that, and I'm not ready to do that.
Yeah. So if people want to follow your journey, 105Ks, you've just finished your 39th, I guess tomorrow's your 40th. How do they follow you and how do they support you?
I'm making sure everything goes on Instagram, and that's 80K_hand cyclist. So everything's there. There's I'm Able has a website. We have a Facebook group. We're just, really trying to get the word out that people can do hard things.
Are you doing most of the 5Ks just around your house? Are you traveling? What are you doing?
Oh, we've traveled a bit. The very first 5K I did for this whole 100 Days adventure was a Spartan race in downstate New York.
Nice.
I figured, start big.
Yeah.
And it's looking like day 100 will be in Central Park.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Devin, I love what you're doing. And I Am Able Foundation obviously does great work. They're the first ones to get you a hand cycle. Congratulations on everything you're up to. And from an injury and I'm glad that you clarified. You didn't miss the pop-up. You caught the pop-up.
I caught the pop-up.
That's all that matters. The stuff that happened afterwards is just sort of, who cares? That was Myers.
That's just filler, yeah.
I love it. So when you told your coach later, well, your coach is probably going, wait, this happened from you catching a pop-up? Was everybody just blown away that, wait, you're gonna die 6 weeks? You have 6 weeks to live and you caught a pop-up and thought you pulled a muscle? That's pretty wild.
Yeah. And I come from a really small town where everybody knows everybody. So it's like a giant game of telephone.
Yeah.
The information starts out fairly accurate and then it just goes awry. So, yeah. But the other good thing about that small town is so much support.
I bet. Everybody was there for you. And I bet you everybody's pretty darn excited about what you're doing now.
I hope so.
Devin, always great to catch up with you. I loved spending time with you at Boston Marathon when you were part of the Highlands team a few years ago.
When you became my good luck charm, yes.
And you did your stupid pet trick for us. That was great.
Yes.
Your leg upside down. Oh my God.
Yep.
Everybody, I think Mev Keflesky was standing there when you did that. And he's like, I thought I was flexible. That's unbelievable. Devin, thank you so much for taking time. Congratulations. Good luck on number 40. And then the next 60 that you're going to do.
Yeah. And then it goes right into marathon season. So we're ready.
So you're going to run. See, I think Boston is what, October 11th or something this year?
Yep. I'm going to Boston and New York. So it's
what the hell?
Yeah, it's going to be a great year.
You got a lot of training in, a lot of short distance stuff.
Pretty much.
Love it. Devin, thank you so much for taking time.
Thank you.
Devin Murphy has been our guest. Everybody, again, Breakfast with Bob, not quite Kona edition. We'll catch you next time. See ya.